Welcome to Gamers Station, and today I've got a racing game for you, and it's called Driveclub. Now, Driveclub to the untrained eye might look like just another racing game. I mean, it looks pretty, it drives around, you drive around a set of sports cars around the track, and well, that looks like it on the surface. But Driveclub has some interesting points that really gets you into the game. But it's also got a number of problems. And by the way, you might have heard that Driveclub released late last year, so you might be wondering, Zach, why are you bringing it up now? Well, when it came out, it had a number of issues. It was sort of buggy, there were some features missing, but since then there's been a set of DLC releases, some patches, and all sorts of bug fixes, and now the game is actually starting to look good, and it's basically being called Driveclub, well, what it should have been when it released. So let's jump into the game and see if it's worth your time and or money. So, what's the gameplay like in Driveclub? Well, generally it's a racing game, and it's pretty much a realistic racing game, though it does have some arcadey elements. It's not exactly super hyper-realistic like Gran Turismo, but it's not like Burnout Revenge, where it's more of an action game than a racing game. So it's sort of in the middle ground there. Now, there's three main ways of playing the game. There's the career path, there's single events, and also there's multiplayer. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But the actual racing of the game, the cars seem to handle okay. You can drift, you can drive around, and it controls and handles pretty well. There's a few things which are quite interesting in terms of when you're actually racing. It's not just you have to win the race. To get through the career, you have to collect stars. So the better you perform, the more stars you get. So there's mini objectives besides just completing the race. There's sort of like finishing in the top 3 is one of them. There's sometimes on the track, it'll give you special objectives, like you have to get a certain amount of drifting going on, or maybe you have to reach a certain top speed, or maybe you have to follow a certain path to make sure your handling is on point. And then there's other events besides races like time trials. Now, the big selling point of Driveclub is its competitiveness. As in not just competing against multiplayer, it's not just competing against your friends, not just against AI, but also against yourself. There's a few things that really makes the competitiveness and the replayability really worthwhile. Whereas, especially the time trials, you go through it, you get like 1 minute, 32 seconds, and it's like, I need to get 1 minute 29 seconds to get full score. So you do it again and again and again until you hit that. And the big reason why this is so easy and so fluid is that loading times are almost non-existent in Driveclub. Once you press restart, it takes like maybe 2-3 seconds and you can race again. And once you finish a match, finish a race or anything like that, there's a restart button after you go through the score screen, and you press restart and you're on the track straight away. And even getting out of the game into the menus or from the menus into the game, it's 10 seconds tops. So it's really optimized as a game. And moving on to another big feature is the multiplayer aspect of the game. Now, it's called Driveclub for a reason, because you can form your own club of up to 6 of your friends. And when you form a club, as you compete in races together or individually, you collect fame points for your club. And these fame points are sort of used as currency within the game. So you collect fame, build fame, and raise your ranks and stuff like that. You compete with your friends and with other clubs out there. And it's really cool. And multiplayer really gives a whole new dynamic to the game compared to racing with the AI. So that all sounds well and dandy, but Driveclub's not a perfect game and it's got its flaws. So for example, starting off with the AI, just playing with the AI, they feel way too aggressive. And when the game starts out in career mode, you're against like 8 other racers, and it feels okay, but they do tend to hitting you, crashing into you, trying to push you off the road. And then later on in the career, when you're up against, when there's 12 racers on the track, it feels so crowded and cramped that unless you're at the back of the pack or front of the pack, it feels like you're constantly competing just to stay on the road. So things like drifting or turning around sharp corners, it's really, really difficult because as soon as you start turning, a car's going to hit you and push you off the road. So the AI actually feels way too aggressive, almost to the point where it feels like I'm playing Burnout Revenge again, and they're trying to take you down, but generally it's manageable, especially after you practice stuff like that. And a few things like the game is praised for its aesthetic. Now, there's sort of mixed reviews and mixed feelings on how the game looks, how the game feels, and it is said to be one of the prettiest racing games on console. I mean, the graphics are good for a console game. It doesn't quite stack up to super high-end modern PC gaming, but it is really good for a console game. But then the whole aesthetic experience of the game feels a little lacking in personality. From the time you open up the menu, all the menu things are in squares and rectangles and it's super clean, and it's almost clinical, the interface and the menus and the buttons and all of that. It's almost clinical, super hygienic, super clean. And in terms of the environments and aesthetics, although they look pretty, they almost feel lacking of life. It's like looking at a postcard more than anything. And just the whole experience of Driveclub can feel a little empty in terms of personality and sort of aesthetics like that. But the competitive aspect is really what they're going for, so I suppose that's not so bad. So, should you get Driveclub? Well, if you're into the racing genre, then you're probably gonna like Driveclub, especially if you're the super competitive type who likes to go to the time trials and do it again and again and again. And especially if you have up to 5 friends, so you can make a club of 6, you're definitely gonna have some fun. And if you can get some friends into your club and really get into the multiplayer aspect and actually start competing as a club on a global stage, that would be really, really cool. But if you're looking for more of an action-based sort of racer, then you might want to look elsewhere. And also if you're looking for the hyper-realistic sort of racer, then this one might feel a little too arcadey for you. But overall, Driveclub, especially since the patches, updates, and DLC, it feels much more complete, much more balanced, much more optimized, and overall a much better experience. So I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a new racing game, and I think it just has just enough to be worth checking out.
Ooh, it's raining outside, which means it's time for me to head out here, but thank you very much for watching the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure to hang out here, Quartet in Taman Tun. Of course, I need about a week to prepare all the gadgets for next week. I simply can't wait. What do we have in store? Same time, same place to find out. Meanwhile, find us on Facebook, Twitter, etc. We would love to hear from you. My name is Adam Carruthers. Till next time.